Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Anahil Remote Job Wali. I am a student of Rehan School Kuringi campus and I am thrilled to be your host today interview. Hailing from a vibrant city of Karachi, Pakistan, we have the privilege of conversing with an extraordinary individual who has made dedicated life to leadership, coaching, and wide array of adventurous endeavors. So I'm talking about none other than Ma'am Gabrielle. Today we have the unique opportunity to delve into her life journey, explore her diverse experiences, and gain valuable insight into the world of leadership, personal growth, and incredible pursuits that make her such an inspiring figure. So, without further ado, let's extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest, Ma'am Gabrielle. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. We are learn more about your fascinating journey. So, welcome, ma'am. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good. So, first of all, please introduce yourself for my viewers.
My name is Gabrielle Gabrielli, and I'm a leadership coach, speaker, and trainer based in Tallahassee, Florida, United States. I also
Okay.
have a nonprofit organization called Life Worth Leading.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for your introduction. So now let's move on to questions. My first question is on your screen. This can you tell us about your journey from being a leadership coach, speaker, and trainer to becoming a CEO at Gabrielli Consulting INC and president at Life Worth Leading?
First, let me say I am very impressed with you because my first career was journalism. And you have very good questions. It shows you did your homework, you did your research. This is impressive to me. So you're
Thank
going to be very successful in life. Okay. So I
Inshallah.
chose my career of journalism when I was a teenager, probably your age, because I had two big fears. I was afraid of cameras. Every picture of me as a teenager looks like this. My hand is in front of my face. I didn't want anybody to look at me. And the other fear was public speaking. I hated to speak in public. And when I was in school, we would have to go and speak in front of the class, and we would have a podium and need to speak. And I would hang onto the podium. And I remember thinking, this is so scary. I don't want to do this. I'm not good at this. I don't know what I'm saying. And so I chose television journalism specifically to help me overcome my two biggest fears. And it did. It worked really well because every day I started out with print journalism. I went to radio and then I went to television. I owned my own production company. So I was doing a lot of video production work. When I switched to in front of the camera, it was really challenging. And then it wasn't. Once I did it over and over and over again, I became more comfortable. I overcame my fears and I said, okay, what's next? And for me, the focus has always been on education as a ticket out of poverty. So I lived in an unusual growing up. My parents were divorced. And so one, you met my father, he's awesome. He was in the military, and my mother is an immigrant, and she's from Scotland, and she has the equivalent of an 8th grade education. A very smart person, but in her country, when you went into the 8th grade, which was about, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, if you were not from a wealthy family, you went to work in a factory. And so she went to work instead of continuing her schooling. And like I said, she's very smart, but it limited her from opportunities. So my parents, to me, showed me that I didn't want to live in a cycle of poverty, of living in a place where I didn't know if I was going to have enough money to pay the bills or to, live a good life or to give back. So I worked really hard. I had a lot of discipline at a young age. I worked hard and I continued my education. I earned my master's degree at age 23. I earned my doctoral degree still in my 20s. And I did my research at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and the topic was the effects of technology-mediated instructional strategies on motivation, performance, and self-directed learning. So as my career was progressing, so was my education. I worked full time the entire time through school, and I got a lot of experience at a young age. So it enabled me to open my own business as a teenager. I was 18 when I opened a video production company. And then it kind of evolved as my education evolved. So I started doing leadership coaching, speaking, training, and yeah, so I've owned the business for a number of years. I opened the nonprofit about 10 years ago. And the nonprofit organization is specifically, it's a charity that helps people with disabilities. And so it's very important work, and I love it. I love everything that I do. I'm really happy.
All right, great, ma'am. You are all happy for your work, so that's wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer.
My pleasure.
So now let's move on to next question. My next question is on your screen. You have a diverse range of interests and skills, from
Ah,
scuba diving or flying planes. How do these hobbies contribute to your leadership and coaching style?
very good question.
Thank you.
So it's interesting, but a lot of people believe that you should only have one interest and pursue it completely. Get really good at it and completely pursue it. For me, I think that life is a gift, and I'm interested in a lot of things. And so I wanted to combine my passions and my talents and get to do things that I really love. So interestingly, my nonprofit organization uses a combination of leadership and outdoor activities, including scuba diving and bicycling, to get people outside and developing their skills at the same time as developing their physical and their mental health. So I think in some ways, how has it helped me? It's made me more adventurous. And I think that sense of adventure has really helped me help other people overcome their fears and self-limiting beliefs.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer. So my next question is, what inspired you to specialize in teaching scuba to people with disabilities? Can you share a memorable experience from this aspect of your work?
Another excellent question. How old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
15. You have a maturity about you that's going to make you have a very wonderful life. And I really like your questions. That impresses me. So yes, I think that for me, I have a lot of stories around scuba diving and around how initially I thought that scuba and leadership were completely different things. And I never told one about the other. And so I kept my lives separated, my nonprofit life and my business life. And what I learned, and it was through a student that I had. She was a coaching client, and she came in, and we were working, and everything was so good with her. She was really good, but I felt like there was something holding her back. So I gifted her with scuba lessons, and I said, "Look." And her name is Amber. I said, Amber, I really think that scuba diving is going to help you get to the next level. I can't say why. I don't really understand how, but give it a try and see what you think. And she said, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to learn how to scuba dive. So yeah, this is great. I'll go. And on the first day, she messaged me and she said, hey, is there room for one extra person in the class? And I said, yes, absolutely. I have a seat for one more person. And I said, who is it? And she said, it's my ex. And so they were married, but separated. And they were living separate lives, but they were friends. And so I said, oh, are you sure? Is that going to be kind of strange having him there? She said, no, we're friends. It's good. I said, okay. So they were in this very room that I'm in now. I'm in my office, and they were sitting on opposite sides of the table as we went around the room and introduced each other. And she introduced herself, and then we went to like 4 other people, and we came to him, and he said, and I'm Amber's husband. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be such a strange, awkward class. She's seeing herself differently than he's seeing himself. Well, in this class, what I saw of him was that he was a very good man and that he had her back. I don't know if you know that phrase, but in English, like saying if somebody has your back, it means they care about you, they're looking after you, they're going to make sure that nothing bad happens to you. And so I could see that he was a very good, responsible person who very much cared for her. And in the class, he was really looking out for everybody. He was so kind. And I thought, wow, what a nice man he is. And then we had a pool session. And in the swimming pool session, we do a lot of challenging activities. And this was where my epiphany came in. This is where I realized that there is an overlap between leadership and SCUBA. Both of them are about overcoming fears and self-limiting beliefs to get out of your comfort zone and into your strength zone. So here she was in the pool. We're doing this really difficult skill that involved buddy breathing. And here you have to trust your buddy. You have to rely on your buddy completely. And she struggled and she gave up and she started saying to him, Ray, you're doing it all wrong. You're not, and I said, actually, he's doing it right. You have to trust. You have to learn to trust. And she said, it's not fair. I need to do this my way. And this is not, and I said, no, listen, you need to trust. And she goes, but I like to be in control. And all of a sudden it was like the universe paused. And I said, that's exactly the problem, Amber. You like to be in control. A good leader lets go of control sometimes. A good leader understands that you can't always be in control. There are many things in this world we're not in control of. We see right now what's happening in the world, right? We can't control those things. The only thing we can do is how we react to those. And so in that class, she finished her skills. I then switched buddies. I made her a buddy with somebody else, with another person in the class, and the other person in the class didn't have her back the way Ray had her back. I mean, she was a nice person. She just wasn't like somebody who really cared about her. And so we finished the class. She did well, and they continued on. They continued on with their training, and they went to advanced, and they signed up for a trip to scuba dive in the Epcot Aquarium. And right before the trip, she came and visited me in my office, and she said, I have something to tell you. I can't make the trip. And I just knew right away. I just had this feeling. And I said, you're pregnant. And she said, yes, how did you know? And I said, I don't know how I know. I just knew. And she said, remember the day when we were in the pool? And I said, yes. And she said, do you remember what I said? I said, you said, I like to be in control. And she said, yes. She said, it was that day that I fell back in love with my husband. And so they ended up getting back together, having a baby. That baby is now 7 years old, I think. And they're very happy. They named her Finley because they had to be close enough to touch fins when they were scuba diving. So yeah, I have so many stories that really show me that this is something that I'm meant to do. I also volunteer a lot with people with disabilities. We volunteer at this event called Rotary Youth Camp. It's for children with special needs. And there was a girl there who was nonverbal, meaning she couldn't speak. And we have a lot of kids who are nonverbal, but we just give them the best experience that they possibly can have in the swimming pool. And we were working with her, and she got scared and she left. She said she couldn't do it. And she told her counselor nonverbally that she was too scared, and she left. And so I said, listen, if you want to come back and try again later today, we're going to be here all day. Come back. So guess what? She came back with her counselor, and her counselor said, she says she's ready. I said, okay. So we started working on the skills and showing her how to breathe underwater. And she did it. And we scuba dived in the pool together, and we came up. And remember, this is somebody who doesn't speak. She came up and she said, I did it. And everybody looked like, wait, she doesn't speak. How did this happen? And we all started crying and like clapping for her, and it was amazing. So yeah, lots of stories like that where you could see that it changed people's lives.
All right, ma'am, great answer, and thank you so much for sharing story. Wonderful story. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, so now let's move on to the next question. My next question is on your screen. How do you balance your professional roles with your passion for fostering animals, cycling, and other activities?
Another great question. Well, I do balance. I'm very good at balancing. What I've learned is that you can't say yes to everything. You can't do everything, but you can do a lot. And so my mornings, I try to cycle. So this morning I cycled. I was on my bicycle for a few hours this morning. And then I'm here at the office now. I took care of the foster animals in between. So I love animals, and I fostered over 800, I think 860 something animals I'm up to now. And so I do find balance. I would say the one thing probably that sets me apart from other people is that I prioritize my life based on giving to others, but also making sure I take care of myself. So cycling is one way that I take care of myself. It's physical and mental health. I ride my bicycle. I feel, adrenaline. I feel I'm out with nature. It's beautiful. I saw deer this morning. I saw, bunny rabbits and beautiful trees and sunshine. I live in Florida. It's lovely. And so I think that for me, I don't sleep a lot. And so, I shift my hours so that I can have my mornings to ride my bicycle, and then I work. And then normally in the evenings, I do more activities. I run. I'm in a running group. So last night I went for a run, and then after that I go to more meetings and more work things, and take care of the animals in between. And yeah, so I pack a lot in, and there's no day off for me. But the thing is, it's not work. It's something that I love. And so every day I'm just feel like I am fortunate to get to do what I want to do. And I get to do things that I'm good at too. So, and I get to help other people and animals.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much for your answer. You are really good and hard worker girl.
I work hard, that's for sure.
Thank you so much for your answer. So now let's move on to next question. My next question is on your screen. What are your future goals and projects, both in your coaching career and your personal pursuits?
So my coaching is really going exactly how I want it to. I have a lot of people who I help who are in person, and then I have people who are at a distance. And what I say with leadership is a true leader is just somebody who positively impacts other people. There are people in this world who are in positions of leadership who are not good leaders. My goal is to help people realize that they can be a leader wherever they are. So you can be a leader in your school, you can be a leader in your organizations that you belong to, you can be a leader in your family. A leader is just somebody who positively influences other people. So I really like how my coaching and my consulting business is going. I would say my biggest plan for the nonprofit, for SCUBA and everything, is I would like to build a warm water aqua therapy center, and it would have 3 swimming pools in it, and it would be for people with disabilities, chronic illnesses, and injuries, as well as for animals. There would be a 3rd pool that would be just for animal therapy. And so I want to build that, and I want to also make it a center for employing people with disabilities.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer. So my next question is, in your leadership coaching, can you share some key principles or strategies you often emphasize when working with clients?
Yes, I mentioned before about leadership and about fears and insecurities. I have a saying that true transformation to leadership begins when people overcome fears and self-limiting beliefs to get out of their comfort zone and into their strength zone. So what I see is people of all levels, all the way up to CEOs of very profitable big companies, all the way down to, custodial staff working. I've coached a lot of people, and what everyone has in common, and what I see the common threads of, are that people have insecurities that are holding them back. And when they have insecurities, they do bad things. So I say the root of all evil in the workplace, and quite frankly, the world, is fear and insecurity. So, look at what's happening in the world right now. We have people who are attacking other people because they believe that they are different, that they are someone that they need to have control over. And as a result, innocent people are dying. It's horrible. And so what is the root of that? The root really is fear, because the individuals who are doing this feel threatened by the people who are in positions of power. They're threatened by people who are different than them. And so, what did they want to do? They want to get rid of them in order to remove the threat. The same thing happens in school when you have a bully. A bully is somebody who, treats somebody badly. They make them feel bad about who they are. It happens in the workplace too. You have people who bully people in the workplace, where they try to make somebody feel really bad about their work, even though they're very good and they're hardworking. And it's the same principle. It's fear, it's insecurity, it's thinking that this person or people need to be controlled in order to make yourself better. And so I really think that if we could focus more on helping people with their fears and insecurities, that it would be a much better world. You disappeared. Okay. I can't hear you right now. Your sound is down. Yeah, I cannot hear you at all. All right, it looks like you've frozen up, and it looks like the discussion is ongoing. So I'll just keep talking, because that's what I always do when I was on television. So you talked about, what are some things that I think apply to both. Fear and insecurity is what I was just discussing. I think you're back.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your answer. So now let's move on to the next question. My next question is on your screen. Given your extensive experience in leadership and coaching, what advice would you give to someone aspiring to become a successful leader?
So some advice that I would give is, first, learn to believe in yourself. And so how do you learn to believe in yourself? You find opportunities to challenge yourself outside of what's normal for you, or your comfort zone, so that you can build confidence. Next is, make sure that you learn from other people. Don't go into a situation thinking that you know more than everybody else. I have a PhD, a doctoral degree. Do I know everything about my field? Absolutely not. There's always more to learn. So you have to have some humility, and you have to be willing to learn from other people. Also, one reason I love cycling is because we ride in packs, we ride in groups of people. And the interesting thing is, the people in the front, so typically there's somebody in the front, it's called pulling the pack. So let's say we have a group of, say, 8 cyclists. The person in the front is pulling, they're the leader, they're pulling everybody. The people behind the leader don't have to work as hard, yet everybody is more efficient. We're going faster. We're covering more ground. We're working less hard, but we're going further and faster. Now, what happens in a pack of cyclists is that the person in the front, after a time, they step back, they pull back, and the second person takes the lead. The second person takes the lead, and they assume the role of leader. And so I think in the situation of somebody getting into leadership, is they need to realize that there's a time you need to step back. Even if you're in a position of leadership, you need to step back. You need to learn from your people. You need to learn from, I don't call them mistakes, I call them opportunities for improvement. They're not failures. A failure is only a failure if you didn't learn something. So give yourself, take some calculated risks, so that you do make things that you might want to call mistakes, but they're really not mistakes. They're a chance for you to learn, for you to grow, for you to become better. And then be vulnerable. Share your learning experiences with other people, because there comes a point in your career where you're growing yourself, and then a switch happens and you go, wait, it's not about me. It's about everybody else. And I think that's when maturity happens as a leader. When you realize that it's not about you and you start to focus on other people, that is when you have achieved legacy. So then you start building other people, you start growing other people, making them better leaders. And so when you're first getting into leadership, I think you have to learn humility. You have to learn how to follow as well as to lead. And you have to be willing to take calculated risks and make mistakes so that you learn from them, and then share those.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your advice for leaders. Thank you so much, ma'am. And as our conversation comes to close, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Gabrielli for sharing her remarkable journey, expertise, and inspirational stories with us today. It has been a privilege to have you as our guest. We hope that our viewers and listeners have found this conversation as enlightening and motivating as we have. Mrs. Gabrielli, your dedication to our leadership, coaching, and your diverse range of patience is truly inspiring. To our viewers, thank you for joining us today. We hope you will gain valuable insight and inspiration from this conversation. Please stay tuned for more engaging interviews and discussion on the forum of conversation. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. Best wishes to you, and I know you're going to be successful.
Inshallah, I will. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me your precious time, and thank you so much for uh, giving valuable answers. So, bye. Have a wonderful day ahead.